of people know you for the stand-up stuff. Like the first time I saw you was like the Shaftesbury Theatre run in England years ago and all of that. And so that's how I know you. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing you in movies all over the place. So did anything you were doing on stage all those years affect or influence anything you're doing on screen now? Was it a help or?
There is something in there. I mean, the only thing that my training should do, having done stand-up and all this weird comedy beforehand, is that if I can really struggle to get into a role, learn, develop whatever technique I can to act a role as well as I can, then it should be somewhat different to what everyone else has done, because I've just come such a weird route.
Right.
That is hopefully my thing. I mean, sometimes you can do, a comedian becomes an actor and they just don't deliver, because the bottom line of comedy is to be funny and the bottom line of acting is to be truthful, and they get that mixed up sometimes, or don't even notice that that's the thing. But I have tried to be completely honorable and get it completely inside characters, or as much as I can, and I just hope that I can bring something different to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That stands out, and then people go, what the hell is this? This is a bit weird.
The comedy, was it a road to screen? Were you always thinking, I'll do this and then maybe someone will notice me?
It was more like the actual route was at 10. I wanted to be in films, and I thought, great. And I was reading all this. I just read credits, and I thought, oh, these are places. People do these. These have names. They all exist. And I started learning about all of that. And then I was at school, and I didn't know you could be an actor when you're a kid. So I just went to school, and then I wasn't getting any roles at school. So this thing of being a film actor was just miles away. And then I was in a class thing, a comedy thing, and I got some laughs doing this. And I thought, well, I like comedy, and I seem to get some laughs here. And then I discovered Monty Python. I thought, well, they write and do their own stuff, and they're in it.
Yeah.
So I'll get a role this way by writing my own stuff and putting myself in it. And then I just became a convert to comedy and thought, right, that's it, comedy. Stuff, drama, I'm doing comedy. So I was on the comedy thing, and then I was going to be in a sketch thing. As soon as I got to university, I dumped university. I was going to be in a sketch program on television. And then that didn't work, so I thought I'd do street performing, because that would teach me something. And then that was very difficult. And then I learned how to do stuff on the street. And then I realized I had to be a stand-up, because it became the new buzzy thing in Britain. And so I got into stand-up, and then that started taking off. And because it had taken so long, and I was so keen to get things going when I was 18, and now I was 900 years old, and I just thought, right, well, if this is going to take this long, I'm going to do both. So I'm going to do comedy, and I'm going to hold it back, not do television. Never done a television show on telly. I've done, you know, put my specials on, but that's it.
Right.
And I thought I'll get dramatic roles at the same time, and I'll start pushing both up. So I became greedy, because it just taken so long.
Right.
Because it wasn't a plan. I was just going to be Mr. Comedy, and then I thought, well, if it's going to take this long, I'm going to be Mr. Both. Right. And confuse people. I have a schizophrenic career. And I'm sure some people look at the comedy and they don't even see the linkage, or they just think, oh. Hopefully they go, oh, is that the same person?
Right. Well, the comedy, I just wonder at some point if you were ever surprised at how well it did, not doubting your talent, but you're so huge in England. I mean, these like weeks-long engagements at these theaters. I mean, it's fantastic, and the specials are all great. I have them all at home, watched them many times over. Did it ever become like a, whoa, not this much?
No, unfortunately not.
I mean, I guess it would be kind of hard to...
Ego the size of a planet, and because I was so because I was wanting to do it when I was younger. I just keep pushing it up. I mean, in the end, I was playing Wembley Arena last time, and these 10,000 seaters, and then some people going, this is too big. But I'm sure it's like when the Beatles played Shea Stadium, they go, oh, we can't hear anything. This is not a good gig. But I've pushed to play bigger and bigger gigs, and also small gigs. So 100-seaters and 10,000-seaters. I like playing both of them. But I don't. No, unfortunately, which is a sad reflection on ridiculous ego, it has never got to a place where I thought, whoa. But it has got to a nice place where it's gone, oh, you know, because it is nice to work with people. And like in Ocean's 12, I didn't do anything. I had a couple of scenes. There's nothing much to do. But it was very nice to be in a big, crazy film and just do that and hang out with those guys.
Well, let's talk about the comedy for a second. I know in Europe and in Britain, you know, you do huge there, and British humor is often more subtle in a way. It's, you know, thanks to guys like John Cleese, it often comes with a very heavy intellectual impact. So my question is, not assuming anything, have you found a difference in American audiences when compared to European or English audiences?
I don't think so. I mean, this links back to what I was saying
About
before.
the cultish, the people who are really into it show up?
Yeah, well, there's that, but also the smart people around the world are all smart. I think around the world, people see an image of America as being middle America as being not necessarily as sharp.
Yeah.
This is because of an aggressive foreign policy that says we're going to go and do this thing, which tends not to be a fine thinking thing, but there's a big sort of, this is how we're approaching it, and it's quite flat on.
Yeah.
And so people think that everyone, all 300 million Americans, are all thinking in that way. And I think part of my job is to explain to people in Europe that no, there's very sharp, very intelligent Americans on all political spectrums, I should say, and the stupid people in America and the stupid people in Europe. You know, so I think the levels are all the same, and all over America they all seem pretty sharp. My shows are kind of self-policing in the fact that if people are not going to deal with you, I'm not saying anything terribly tricky. It's just I'm throwing images together kind of in a kind of a weird way, and if people don't like it, they'll probably go away and say to other people who wouldn't like that kind of thing, you better not go. But I don't find a huge difference in the audiences around the world, which I think is great. And I think television is that thing where all the kind of aware people are watching similar kinds of things on television, History Channel, documentaries, Discovery Channel. You can get all this information in. I'm someone who likes television because I've learned from it. I've taught myself from it. I watch programs on things and then I learn from them because I assume they're probably telling just about the truth. You can tell with your bullshit detector.
Saying all that, is there anything that's going on culturally now in America anywhere that you think is really funny? Something that you would maybe take on to stage? I've been talking a lot about reality shows lately. Like, there's nothing new about them. But the fact that they have kind of supplanted drama and is this kind of the new, well, you know, what's next? Throwing people to lions? That might be next season.
No, well, that is interesting because I was wondering that. If they did something where they said, look, if you join, you could die. But if you win $1 bazillion. I think people would go for it.
They'd line right
They'd line it up. If you got the gladiatorial thing right back, it would be that. Because I've often wondered, you know, ever since Gladiator, the film happened and came back in, and so there were a lot more documentaries on it. I'm wondering what it was like when you were going there. And apparently women were crazy about it, you know, because these gladiators who were slaves and couldn't get out, but they were forbidden, or not forbidden, but impossible to get to, heroes of sexuality because they were killing some other guy. And how people would react to it these days, and I don't think there'd be much difference. You got that on telly, people would still react exactly the same way. There'd be rock and roll gods, and they'd be killing people, and would be if we're so close to that. It is weird. But I don't know. Yes, the reality things do. I mean, I dislike them. I kind of officially dislike them in my brain, and then when they come on, I tend to get sucked in. If I watch it for, I don't know, something like if you watch it for a longer period than a certain period, if you get to know these people, then you go, oh, what are they, and you keep it on in case they say something, which is really odd. It's like paint drying. It's like just hanging around your friends. It's gossip. You know, it's a gossip TV. It's weird, and I don't think it's going to, I was wondering, is it going to go away? Is it a fad that's coming now and it's going to go away? And I don't think it is. I think it's too cheap to make. I think it's now around for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so that being said, where do you think that takes us culturally? Does it dead end, or does it turn into Lethal Injection live at 8? Like, what finally, where everyone just saturates?
I think we will continue to go down to plumb the depths of human depravity in television viewing. At the same time, continuing to go up and try and find the heights of serenity and of wisdom. I think we're doing them at the same time. I think things might be getting better and worse at the same time because both are very watchable. One is wisdom and one is depravity, and we might be trying to go for those edges because those are the water cooler things. Do you see that guy shoot that guy? Yeah. Then you see that thing where it was life affirming about that birth and death and marriage, and you know, So those are the things which are going to affect us. I don't know quite where that takes us all, but I am positive about human beings. I do think overall we beat the Nazis. It's gotta be generally like that.
No, that's great. I appreciate your mind. I'm so glad you were a guest on my show. Thanks for hanging out with me, Eddie. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Coming up a bit later in the show, an exclusive musical performance from Death Cab for Cutie. But first, another installment of Drawing Conclusions.